Guys, we got this that came in yesterday. The Orlando Magic co-founder Pat Williams is pitching a new MLB team and a $1.7 billion stadium in Orlando, Florida. You have got to be kidding me on this. The Dreamers join a list of potential expansion cities. You can see Charlotte, Montreal, Nashville, Portland, Salt Lake City. I would imagine Austin, Texas would probably throw their hat in the ring at some point as well. Also maybe San Antonio, San Jose, places like that. But guys, this idea, this is the most ridiculous thing. The MLB has had such huge attendance problems in the state of Florida with the Tampa Bay Rays, and maybe you can cope and say, oh, the reason the Rays have horrible attendance is because the Trop is a bottom two facility in the MLB. All right, I'll give you that, even though Tampa Bay has been really good for a while now. They've got a great front office. Yes, they have a really low payroll, but they're always winning 90 games. They're always in the playoffs. They made the World Series in 2020. You would figure that would at least bump them up in terms of attendance. It doesn't seem to be happening. Maybe this year it changes. But then you've also got the Miami Marlins, who just got a new stadium in 2012, and they can't even draw 10,000 people a night. And now you want another expansion team in Florida. This just seems like a complete horrible idea. The MLB hasn't tried to hide the fact it wants to add two teams, and another group is pitching a city and a concept. Now, I have not seen any renderings from this stadium. If they do come in, I would be very interested in seeing what it looks like, but it says a group led by former NBA executive is looking to start a team in Orlando, a pitch including a $1.7 billion stadium funded in part by right under $1 billion from tourist taxes. The group calls the proposed team the Dreamers and wants to build 1,000 hotel rooms adjacent to the stadium. So yes, we've seen that time and time again with these modern stadium designs. They really want to build up the area surrounding the stadium. And you can see, guys, this just makes no sense. The only way I could see this is possible is if the Rays moved to Orlando. And even then, I think if the Rays move, it's going to be to Nashville. But if the Rays do end up moving, to me, it doesn't seem likely right now. But if it happens, of course, it can still happen. They still have to get that new stadium, bottom line. If they cannot get that, it's over for them. But there is momentum that they're going to get the new stadium. If they don't get it, could a move to Orlando be in the mix? Maybe, but there's no way the MLB is going to expand and put another team in Florida after the attendance issues they've had, the big investment with the new stadium, Lone Depot Park, and it really hasn't helped anything. And this is their website. It starts with a dream. And yeah, I'll be honest, I was really disappointed when I went to this website, mainly because there's no renderings. I mean, you need it. This is a message to anyone, any billionaire or millionaire who wants to start some type of expansion team. We need to see some type of stadium rendering. You need to get the people excited for your vision. When you don't have that, especially a place like Orlando, Florida, I know they've got the Magic, but even that, it's like, is that a big enough market to have an MLB team and to have fans for 81 home games? I guess they're counting on, people vacationing down there, going to games, but that's exactly what Miami was counting on as well. So to me, this does not seem likely at all. Seems like a lot of different cities are pitching right now because they sense that expansion is coming, and of course it is. It says baseball in Orlando is a hard sell. Minor league baseball left the market years ago. Spring training left a few years ago. And there may already be enough diversions in Orlando between amusement parks and resorts as well as MLS and NBA teams, so there is plenty of uncertainty regarding the MLB in the coming years. Will the Rays relocate? Listen, if the Rays are going to relocate, maybe Orlando could be an option. I think that's the only way Orlando gets a team. When and where will the MLB expand? No, 2028 is far from a lock. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine the MLB is probably looking at, after the Rays situation, 2027, 2028, sometime around there, as a possible date for expansion. Because the Rays are still in talks with St. Petersburg and Tampa over developments featuring new ballparks. St. Petersburg's been noisier than Tampa folks about the status of talks. Orlando can't yet take a position on serving as a new home for the Rays. Yes, it's awfully handy for the Rays as talks continue that Orlando is willing to host a team, but it is also hard to foresee the MLB putting teams in both Tampa and Orlando markets. Yeah, that is not going to happen. So that's the situation. We've got another city pitching, and this kind of seems like a non-story to me. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, it says more Rogers Center upgrades unveiled by Blue Jays. So the whole Rogers Center situation is really interesting because you look at Rogers Center. It is a multi-purpose stadium, or I guess it was a multi-purpose stadium. They were kind of left with two options, right? You could try and build a new stadium in and around the area in Toronto. It would probably cost you, I mean, at this point, the going rate for an MLB stadium is like $1.5 billion. Or you could try and do a massive renovation on the Rogers Center for around $400 million, for about a fourth of the price, and really expand its lifespan by about 20 years. They do the step one of the Rogers Center renovations, and I gotta say, like, when you see a home run get hit at Rogers Center, looking at the outfield seating and stuff like that, it looks like this place was built 5 years ago. I mean, they did an amazing job on the renovations, and the big news is the new renovations, the next wave in 2024, is going to be a completely redesigned lower bowl section, because when you look at the lower bowl area, you can still tell based on the crazy amount of seats that this was a multi-purpose stadium, and the seating just does not look strictly, made for MLB baseball. They're going to change all of it. They're, doing different private memberships and suites available, apparently. It is a completely reimagined lower bowl, and I think this is a home run by Toronto and just the way they did this, because Rogers Center, instead of spending the 1.5 or maybe even more, yes, you'd get a new stadium. Yes, it would probably have a 40-year lifespan, but I think they probably extended the Rogers Center lifespan by at least, I would say, 15 to 20 years with this renovation. And they'll also be able to host an all-star game a lot sooner. If you get a new stadium, there's so much crap you got to do. It's probably not going to happen until 2028, 2029 anyways. These renovations are going to be done, and it's going to be a brand new stadium by 2025. And you have to wonder, what are some other stadiums that possibly could get revived if they get a massive, like, $500 million renovation? There's actually two stadiums that come to mind for me. Number one is Chase Field. Now, there are rumors that maybe the Diamondbacks move to Scottsdale, but if they do stay at Chase Field, I think it's a fine ballpark. It just is flawed in terms of its overall design. You're going to have to completely reimagine the upper deck. I would probably chop off the top 30 rows of the upper deck, make it kind of a bar area or something like that, and then you would have to do something with the center field batter's eye. And the other stadium that comes to mind in possibly a major renovation is American Family Field, and they already have talked about possibly spending $300 million on a renovation. To me, American Family Field is a little bit easier to renovate. It's same issue as Chase Field. The batter's eye, the vertical scoreboard is a complete mess the way it's set up. I would try and redesign that. I would try and push that wall out a little bit just to give some room in between the fence and the batter's eye rather than just making it vertical. I would completely move the scoreboard, and then I would redesign the entire outfield seating at American Family Field if they do get money for that like $300 million renovation. American Family Field is going nowhere. I'm sure it's going to, it's not like the Brewers are looking to move or anything like that, so the situation in Arizona is a little bit different. It definitely feels like something very soon is going to happen, or announcement's going to come that they're going to renovate Chase Field or possibly start planning for a new stadium in a different part of Arizona. Either way, I just think based off of what we've seen with the Rogers Center, it's a huge hit. It costs like a fraction of what a new stadium would cost. Yes, we all, we love looking at the new stadiums, the new designs, things like that. But if you are a team looking for a cheaper option and looking to expand, the lifespan of your ballpark, this may be an option to where you throw $500 million at it and you change everything. I mean, Chase Field is there's just no way a stadium would be designed like that nowadays. It is totally out of date, and at some point it's going to need a renovation. So we will see what happens with that, but I do think the Blue Jays' new renovation, when you talk to people, it is a major hit right now. So I'm guessing there's going to be at least a few teams that kind of use that as a guide to renovating their stadium and not trying to build a new stadium. I mean, with some stadiums like Tropicana Field, it just can't be saved. You would have to honestly rip off the roof and completely redesign it, so there's just no point in doing that. Some stadiums it can't be done, but there are other stadiums like Chase Field, which has really nice windows that open. It's got a very nice retractable roof. Same thing with American Family Field. There's really no reason to move from it, but it is aged, and the design of it, in my opinion, is just flawed. So we will see if another team decides to go the Rogers Center model. We saw, the upper decks get renovated at Coors Field, at Progressive Field. That's kind of a little bit smaller than what Rogers Center did. I mean, Rogers Center did everything. They did the bullpens, they did the secondary seating, they actually changed the seating in the upper deck, and then they also, made the bar areas as well. So they did a bunch, and then they're doing more this year. But I did just want to discuss about that Orlando possibility. It just seems like a waste of time to me. I honestly, I wish they would have at least shown some type of rendering for a stadium just to have something to look at. But they're talking about maybe building a hotel right next to it. That seems, very common with stadium designs nowadays. But either way, if they did actually come out with a concept, I'm guessing it would probably seat around 30,000. And it's just, there's a 0% chance if the Rays get a new stadium and stay in Tampa Bay, the MLB is not putting another team in Florida after already dealing with the attendance issues they've had with the new stadium in Miami. I understand Orlando and Miami are two different places. I get it, but it just doesn't make sense. You would much rather go to a place like Nashville or possibly out west or possibly another team in Texas, because Texas is drawing well. When you look at the Astros, when you look at the Rangers, I know they got a new stadium, but still they're drawing well. Austin, Texas is a city on the rise. San Antonio has a fan base. To me, there's significantly better options than putting a third team in Florida when you're already dealing with attendance issues after building a new stadium. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.